Hey, y'all, welcome back to the Yes We Can podcast. Today, I have a gentleman named Ethan Luth who's on the show. He is currently battling stage 4 pancreatic cancer and is being seen by Dr. Keon Lim, who is the doctor that treated my husband. So I am so excited for him to come on and share his story and talk about his battle and all the amazing things he's doing to put one foot in front of the other. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kira. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited you said yes to coming on.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to be here and to share a little bit of my story.
Yeah. And so Ethan and I just met, but his wife, Jamie, and I actually went to college together. And so we have been Facebook friends because Facebook came out when we were in college, by the way, for all these years. And she contacted me in January, letting me know that her husband had been diagnosed with cancer. And so we'll explain more of that story. So, but let's start with who are you, where you're from. Let's start at the beginning.
Sure. Well, I grew up in East Central Illinois, a small town, and actually on a farm. So I'm kind of a small town kid. But then I went to the University of Illinois, and through that experience, I gained exposure to a lot of different things. I would say through internships and international exposure, which has taken us on a journey where we've lived in Europe twice now. We were in Germany, and two of our daughters were born there. And then we moved back here to St. Louis, and we spent 5 years in the St. Louis area. And then we got an opportunity to go to the Netherlands, and we were there for almost 3 years before just moving back here recently. So it's been quite a journey, but fantastic to see a lot of different things on that journey and
Yes.
get the experiences.
Absolutely. I mean, traveling all over the world.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Jamie is in the studio with us today. So if we look over there, it's because we're looking at Jamie. So from a small town, what kind of farm?
Corn and soybeans. So I'm the fifth generation actually on
You're
that
kidding.
farm and still involved. So I have a professional career, and then I have I help the family still in that farm operation. My father and uncle kind of they still work on the farm, but they're somewhat retired. And then my brother and my cousin are the ones that day to day actively run the operation, and I just kind of help in the background. But
That's awesome.
It's been a great opportunity for me to stay grounded.
Absolutely. So you probably don't know this, but my husband Kyle is from a small town in Dillon, Montana, and they also they're ranchers. So they have cattle.
Cool.
So his brother Scott and his wife Nicole man their ranch, and they have 800 cattle.
Wow.
It's insane.
That's
quite a production.
Big cattle operation.
Yeah, they just had 600 calves.
Oh, wow.
This season. It's wild. Just the two of them do it. And actually wild, one of the this is totally a side note, I digress, but one of the mama cows, they were trying to tag the baby, and one of the cows headbutted on my brother-in-law's rear. He flew up into the air and landed on his face. So he had to have, I know, right? 24 a stitch. It was he's never happened before. His whole face was swollen, wild. Luckily, he had a concussion, but luckily it could have been worse. So
yeah, it's a pretty dangerous occupation.
Yeah.
And I still have a few battle scars here and there
I'm
from
sure.
growing up and all of the things that I've encountered throughout my experiences there. But
sure.
it was a great upbringing. And,
Absolutely.
gives you good grounding and values.
Yeah, that's why I think Jamie and I marrying farmer boys. So it's not such a bad idea. Okay, so grew up in small town, went to Illinois. Which are you pumped about? Didn't they make it?
Well, they made it to the Final Four,
Okay.
but that was it. So,
Well, Final Four's not bad.
Yeah, that was a fantastic achievement. The team did excellent this year, so it was great to see that.
Now, did you play? Because you're what, 6 foot?
6'3". No,
6'3", okay.
I was not nearly good enough to play at
Okay.
that level for sure. But growing up, I liked to play football, baseball, basketball.
Yeah.
But once I got out of high school, it was more focused on what am I going to do the rest of my life, and certainly athletics was not one that was going to pay the bills. So I had to put that aside for a bit.
Right. Well, that's the majority of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, have to come to that realization.
Yeah.
Okay, so then how did you guys meet?
Yeah, so from college, I got into agriculture, and that opportunity, I kind of joke because we have not lived in the same place. I have not since I left my parents' house more than 4 years, not in the same place. And so I kept moving quite regularly with my career. And one of those stops took me to Kansas City. And that was the time where Jamie happened to be living in Kansas City as well. One of my neighbors knew that I worked in agriculture. They knew that Jamie was working in agriculture, and she was good friends with the neighbor. So they said, you guys ought to meet. And so over a Memorial Day weekend, we were going to go down to the Lake of the Ozarks with this set of friends, and they knew that Jamie was going to be there as well. So they said, we should have you guys meet. And so they kind of arranged a meet up with us, but honestly speaking, it didn't go that well to start.
So I have Jamie coming on next week, everybody. So stay tuned because we're going to get her version. I love it.
Yeah. But anyway, we met through mutual friends there in Kansas City, and then she's been on this journey with me ever since. So it's been fantastic, and we've moved, I think, 6 times corporately from Kansas City to Raleigh, North Carolina, to Germany, to St. Louis, to Netherlands, and back to St. Louis. So
wow. And who are you? Who do you work for?
I work for Bayer.
Bayer. Okay.
So Bayer,
okay.
Bayer. If you're in Germany, you say Bayer. But,
okay.
But yeah, it's been a fantastic journey, and,
awesome.
and they've been great to me through all the years, and especially here lately.
Amazing. And then how many kids do you guys have?
We have 3 daughters. So they are now 11, 8, almost to turn 9, and 7, who the youngest just had a birthday yesterday.
Aww.
And the older 2 were born in Germany, actually.
That's so fun. So they have dual citizenship.
No, they don't. That's not, Germany does not do that unless you live there for 6 years, basically.
Oh, interesting.
So they have a German birth certificate, but that's it.
Oh, interesting.
So it's been great, but we moved when Jamie was 7 months pregnant with the oldest to Germany. So take an international move and a 7-month pregnant wife, and bless her for agreeing to go on that journey.
Agreed. Says a lot about her.
Absolutely.
I'm excited for you guys to meet her too. So funny. So Kyle and I, when I was 8 months postpartum with my first, they asked us to move to Toronto, and I thought that was a big deal. And we did move, and it ended up being amazing. We were only there a year. Yeah. We came back, but my second daughter was almost born there, and she would have had dual citizenship, but we moved back right before I had her. So similar. But
you have the experience of moving when you were pregnant as well? Then?
Yes. Yeah. Well, actually, no, I wasn't pregnant. I got pregnant up there. Okay. So, well, yes, I guess home. I was pregnant moving home. You're right. Yeah. Sorry. Yes, pregnant moving home.
And she was pregnant when we moved back from Germany with our youngest. So she's moved twice pregnant now internationally.
Yeah. She's a warrior as well.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I'm excited for everybody to meet her too. Okay, so life's good. You guys are been in the Netherlands for 3 years. You're settled. Things are good. You're happy. Yeah. And then what happened?
Yeah. So, it was kind of a coincidental timing, but it was in the November, December timeframe last year, 2025. And we were actually talking about extending our stay in the Netherlands for another year. The kids were having a great time. Yeah. They had settled into school well, good routine, and having a fantastic experience. And so we were talking about extending. And then in November, I'd been having some back pains prior to that, but in November, I started to have more severe pain in my abdomen and lower back. And at night when I would lay down, I got piercing pains, and then it was hard for me to sleep for a period of time. But then a few incidences where the pain was so severe I woke up or was not asleep yet and vomited from the pain.
From the pain.
Yeah. So that was kind of the trigger, is what I would say, to dig a little deeper. But Jamie would tell you that in our 15 plus years together, she has probably seen me vomit about as many times as you can count on one hand. So it was unusual. And so we knew we needed to do a little bit more digging, and started the process there. It was the 4th of December when I first went in to see the general practitioner, and she said, well, let's start with kidney stones and look at this. And so we did tests, and ruled that out, and then through a series of eliminations and then imaging, on the 17th of December, I went in and they said, this was right after they did a CT scan. The radiologist said, there's a mass in your pancreas. It's probably cancer. And so we'll get you in to see a specialist the next day, actually. So I think that was the 18th of December. The specialist said, well, let's not just assume that because of an image. Let's investigate.
Right.
So they did some more tests, and they scheduled me for a biopsy. And we did that biopsy on the 21st of December. And coincidentally, we were planning to, as a family, go on a little bit of a holiday for Christmas down to France and ski. So, great anticipation. The kids are excited about this. And we ended up delaying that for a day so that I could do the biopsy. And then that day that we had the biopsy, we said, all right, we're going to drive down to France. We'd already made the plans and everything was arranged. So it was like, well, it's not going to do any good to sit around here and wait. So we went. And while we were walking back from the ski lift on Christmas Eve, I had two of the daughters in front of me I was carrying their skis, and phone rang. And I happened to, I was suspicioning it was probably a doctor. So I answered. And he gave me the news there. It was Christmas Eve, 4:00 in the afternoon. Said the biopsy's confirmed it's pancreatic cancer. So you're asking a lot of questions. You're a bit overwhelmed. What are you sure? What's this? What stage is it in, and what's it look like, and what's the prognosis? And so at that point, he's like, well, we don't have all those answers. We'll get you in to see somebody. And it was going to be 2 weeks because it was over the Christmas holiday and things like that. Right. So you got this news on Christmas Eve, and then you get to sit around for 2 weeks and say, what if? And,
it's horrible.
Yeah.
The wait is, yes.
Yeah. So that was our Christmas of 2025. But, it is what it is. And so you try and figure out what's the plan. What are we going to do? That's been my mentality is we're going to figure out what we can do here,
yes,
and how do we fight this,
right.
And so that's what we did. We talked about it, and then finally, in the beginning of January, we started to have some doctor appointments, and we're seeking answers.
Yes, and thank you for sharing all that. And I don't want to spoil Jamie's podcast next week, but well, first I want to mention Kyle had similar symptoms. So for those of you, I think for all of us to really listen to our bodies. So I am a health and wellness coach. I preach eating well. I know that you guys eat well and exercise. I think all that is important. And here's why. Because if you eat well and you know your body, then you know when something's wrong. Yep. So Kyle also had back pain and stomach pain, and his bowel movements became irregular. And actually what's interesting is that we finally went to the doctor after months and months and months and months of this. We had to go to the ER. He had been to the doctor. No one suspected cancer. He threw up that evening, and the next day we went to, because we're like, same. He never throws vomits. So that's what sent us into the ER, and they did a scan there. But something I want to mention, not to steal Jamie's limelight, and correct me if I'm wrong, but because she had followed our journey, she had been asking questions about pancreatic cancer from the start of you having symptoms, asking the doctors, asking them to check, and they didn't, correct?
Well, yes, and I remember when you guys were in the midst of your journey, she talked about it with me, and she's like, this is what's going on, and kind of sharing some of that, and I remember that very vividly, especially now as you look back and you're like, to your point, listen to your body, seek answers when something doesn't feel right. I'm a guy. I don't always
men in
listen.
general. Yeah. Men in general
don't always listen. There's things that you say, I can tough it out. It's not a big deal,
right?
And in this case, there wasn't a lot of telltale signs until we did investigate, but there were a few. And so you look back and you say, what if? You never know. But for those who could potentially be going through this in the future, take heed. Listen to what's going on, and don't just put it off.
Minimize, right.
That's one of the best things that I understand with pancreatic cancer is if you catch it early,
correct,
your chances of successful treatment are much, much better. And so listen to your body is an important message, Kira. Absolutely.
Yes, I do. I preach that, and if something's off, do something about it. Ask the question. So, from my understanding, from diagnosis, you were at stage 3. It had not spread at that point. Is that correct?
That it was a bit unclear is how I would state it, because when I got that call on Christmas Eve, I asked the doctor that had access to the imaging and stuff, and initially they said, it looks like it's just in the pancreas, a little bit of the splenic vein has been compromised, but that's not that big of a deal. We can treat this.
Were they talking about surgery?
Yes.
With the Whipple surgery?
Yeah. So that was even in the first week of January. So when we finally got in to see the doctors, they had the CT scans, and they were saying, it's localized to the pancreas and the spleen. We can do a Whipple, we can take your spleen out, and things will be okay. We're going to have you do some chemo first, and then we'll do the surgery. And then they got to looking at the CT scans a little more, and they're like, well, there's a few shadows in the liver. Let's do an MRI to make sure. So that happened. I think we first saw a doctor on the 5th, 6th of January, and then they said, okay, we're going to do the MRI I think it was the 8th of January. So we go in and we do that, and then the next Monday we get a phone call from the surgeon, and they say, we need to see you today. I think this was the 10th of January. And we were supposed to start, or I was supposed to start the first round of chemo on the next day. So the surgeon, residency surgeon, calls us in, and they say, there's several lesions in your liver. It is our belief that that's metastasis from the pancreas. Surgery is not an option. And so we said, well, what are the options? Well, we've checked. There's nothing else that we can do. You can do several rounds of chemo, and then that's it.
That's it.
So that was the message we got the day before I was supposed to start chemo.
So, okay, I have all sorts of questions. They did a couple rounds of chemo before they were going to do cancer. They did a couple rounds of chemo before they were going to do surgery.
Yeah, it was interesting because the questions we asked, the surgeon we met with the week prior, before they did identify the mass in the metastases in my liver, the surgeon said, well, there's not a lot of data one way or the other that says it's better to do the surgery first or the chemo first. So we can do it either way. But at that point, their recommendation was, let's do some chemo, and then we'll do the surgery. So that was, that was the plan at that point. But then obviously that changed. So, I had a lot of questions at that point. I said, is it actually better to do the surgery first and not the chemo? And so it was a bit unclear. But you were in the Netherlands. There was somewhat of obviously they speak great English there. However, it's not always the easiest to interpret when you get technically into the medical situation. So, but that was what the plan that they advised for was. They said maybe that'll shrink things up a bit, make it easier for us to do the surgery, those kinds of things. So that was what the plan was as of that time until we saw it in the liver.
Yes. And so for those of you that are unaware, most often pancreatic cancer isn't detected until stage 4. Almost 100% of the time it goes to the liver. Did it start in the tail of the pancreas? Okay. So if as he mentioned, if they catch it early and it's only in the tail of the pancreas, they do a surgery called the Whipple surgery. It's named by the doctor who discovered this, where they can remove the tail of the pancreas and remove the cancer. And it's great. It saves a lot of people, but it has to be caught early. And a lot of times the only way it's caught early is if it's caught by mistake.
Yeah.
But you were having symptoms even at that point, pretty severe symptoms. So in my mind, I'm like, gosh, they should have just done the surgery right away. I mean, and that's really a question I have for you. Mentally, what are you thinking throughout all this? Like, what's going through your head? You have children, this beautiful wife, this amazing career you're living. I mean, what's going through your head?
A lot, in short. But my mentality is I'm going to fight, and so I think I took this surgeon that we first met with by. He was a bit taken back by me because I said, what's the plan?
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to do?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is the best thing for me?
Mm-hmm.
If you were in my shoes, what would you do?
Mm-hmm.
And so my mentality was, we're going to make a plan and we're going to execute that plan, and I'm going to fight like hell to beat this.
Yeah.
That was where I was at with it. And I still am. I mean,
100%.
I'm in the fight.
You are.
And we're going to do everything we can to be able to sustain and support and watch my daughters grow up.
Of course. Absolutely. And there is a chance. And that's what's so amazing. So in the Netherlands, correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding was, Jamie had mentioned that they do. So they have one standard of care there, FOLFIRINOX, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Which is the same chemo. It's actually the first standard of care here in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
However, in the U.S., we have, there's a second standard of care treatment and amazing studies happening.
Yes.
But this is not the case in the Netherlands, correct?
Yeah. We asked that of the doctor, and again, the answer was, well, we looked. There's a few studies on pancreatic cancer in the Netherlands, but you're not eligible for those. So it's FOLFIRINOX, and then that's it.
Were you not eligible because of the type of pancreatic cancer or because of the metastases?
The only thing that they animated on there was one treatment that was an experimental for if there was metastases in the liver, but you could only have 1 or 2 lesions in the liver, and I had 10. So they said that automatically disqualifies you. Otherwise, they didn't elaborate anymore.
Okay. So then in comes a message from Jamie into my messenger.
Yep.
And she says, my husband was just diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Essentially, what's your suggestion? What do you think? And so I said to her, Dr. Lim will look at his blood work, his scans, all those things. And she was like, that'd be amazing. And she's like, we'd even potentially move back to the US. And I was like, whoa, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a big undertaking, but I get it. You'll do anything. And I completely understand. So right away I sent Dr. Lim your name, your birthday. Yep. Jamie got me all the info right away, got it to them. And Dr. Lim then called you guys and said what?
Yeah, they called and they said, when can you have an appointment with us? Mm-hmm. It was kind of that simple. It was just say, we got your name, we see your information, and we want to talk to you. We want to take your case on.
Mm-hmm. And Dr. Lim is phenomenal. So he took Kyle's case on as well, and other doctors wouldn't because Kyle's was so advanced. Mm-hmm. It was everywhere by the time we caught his. But he is an amazing researcher here. We're very lucky to have him at Siteman. So, I mean, we were all in tears. And I don't know about you, but I was in tears when Jamie told me that Dr. Lim said yes. And then, so you guys came back. Were you like, all right, we're moving back? Or how did that go down?
Yeah, in these circumstances, as you mentioned before, you're in a good situation. You're I had a great career. And it really makes you stop and think about what's important in life. So for me, family and my health were number one.
Yep.
And so that was the point where I said, I don't care about the career. I'm going to set that aside. And even the people that I worked with that knew me well, they're like, I can't believe you did that, Ethan.
You're like, I'm fighting for my life.
Yeah, they were surprised. And that's exactly the way I look at it is I'm going to fight and I'm going to do whatever's best for me and for the family. And so at that point, when we knew that there were no options beyond FOLFIRINOX in the Netherlands, we knew we had to do something different. And it wasn't hard for me to make that decision, and it wasn't hard for Jamie to also come along in that process. I mean, we talked about it together, obviously, but it was obvious is what I would say. When you're in that situation, you have to look for hope, and Dr. Lim gave us hope.
Yeah, He's amazing. And I also want to say, Jamie is incredibly supportive and, not all, this is one of the number one stressors in life, if not the biggest stressor. And sometimes it does, people lose it. I had a gal on my podcast recently. Her husband was like, I can't do it. You're going to, hers is really way far advanced and terminal. And her husband's like, you're going to be going, you're going to go on and I'm going to be here stuck. And so they separate. He was like, I can't do it. So, I mean, I think God is in control of all this. All these
Absolutely.
stars aligned, and like she and I going to college together. And
Yep.
I mean, like, it's not us, it's totally God. But,
Yep.
having an amazing supportive spouse is
Yes.
such a blessing because it's
Absolutely.
not always the case.
Yep.
And so, okay, so did you guys then decide, okay, we're moving, or did you come see Dr. Lim? I don't remember. How did
Yeah.
that go down?
Well, initially it was kind of a thought process. Should we stay in the Netherlands? I'll fly back and see Dr. Lim, see what he has to say, and then we'll make a decision. But it, the more you thought about it, it was pretty obvious. We need to get back to where the best care is available for Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
And so we made that decision very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we booked a plane ticket to fly back here permanently
Mm-hmm.
as a family on the 29th of January.
Mm-hmm.
So this adventure, I'll call it, started, let's call it December 24th. And on January 29th of 2026, we made the decision we're flying back permanently to the U.S. to seek treatment for Ethan's disease. And, then we had to mobilize the house and the packing and all of the logistics from an international move, which I'm very blessed that great community of people supporting us in the Netherlands and great support from Bear as I went through that process. But it was a pretty quick decision, but it was an obvious one is what I would say. So.
Awesome. Well, and you just know, right? Like it's when it's right, it's clear.
Yep.
And so how are the girls doing throughout all of this? What are they, what do they know? What are they thinking? How did this affect them?
Yeah.
Or is this affecting them?
I would say it certainly affects them. I don't know that they know the full circumstance is how I would put it. But they know Dad has cancer. They know Dad is getting treatment, and in their mind, Dad's going to beat it.
Yeah,
and
he is going to beat it.
And so they're doing great.
Yeah.
Is what I would say. To put it simply,
yeah.
We have moments where, of course, they're like, oh well, this or that, or but that's life.
It's going to creep in, yes.
And so they're doing fantastic. They've been incredibly resilient.
Yeah.
So I'm just every day when you get up and you see their smiling faces, that's what motivates you.
100%. And to your credit, you're still working out, eating well. I mean, you don't look like you have cancer. So it's probably like, and Jamie and I have talked about this. It's like, wait, is this our reality? Is this really happening?
Yeah.
Like you look like your regular Ethan. I mean, so a common side effect, as we all know, is weight loss. Have you lost weight?
Not a lot. No, I mean, I would put it in the range of maybe 5 pounds. Okay. So very little.
Okay.
I was working out pretty regularly, and when it first occurred, first diagnosis, I stopped lifting quite as much, so I lost a little bit of weight from muscle mass is what I would call it. Right. But as far as my overall eating habits and things, I've still had a good appetite, still been able to maintain my weight and things relatively well. So, but as you said, important to follow a good diet and make sure that you're eating the foods that will help repair your body as you endure some of these treatments. That's been an important piece that Jamie's played a very active role in, and I'm very fortunate for that. But it's really not had as much of an impact on me other than let's pick up and move internationally, a little bit unexpected, but otherwise, I still feel good. I still able to do pretty much anything I want. Maybe a few limitations here or there, but all in all, I'm very blessed.
Amazing. I mean, yes, and you should keep going. And so, how did that first meeting go with Dr. Lim? Do you remember what? I mean, you seem to remember things very clearly. I think I blacked out a bunch, but anyway, so how did that first meeting go with him?
Dr. Lim is an amazing researcher, an amazing doctor is how I would state it. And when we came in, didn't really know what to expect. We'd had the experience in the Netherlands. And I would tell you that bedside manner there is not the greatest. But it is what it is. And with Dr. Lim, he said, well, tell me about the journey. Tell me about what's going on. Of course, he asked the medical questions, and he had the images and the blood work and things from the Netherlands to look at as a reference. But he said, we're going to do everything we can. There's a lot of options here. And he asked what they had told me and all this. And so we talked a little bit about that. But he's like, well, there's this option, there's this option, there's the clinical trials. We're going to keep you going on chemo here for the immediate term. So, this was on a Thursday, which was 2.5 weeks removed from my last chemo in the Netherlands. And he's like, well, next Thursday, you're going to start chemo here. So very quick action. He said, this is the plan. And I appreciate that. We're going to build a plan and we're going to execute it. Like I said before. So that was fantastic. And then he said, there's options. We're doing some immunotherapies. We have some clinical trials. But let's start with the chemo and then we'll explore there. But the other thing, I want to get more information. He said, I wanted to get a fresh CT scan. I want to get a biopsy to understand the genetic makeup. So right after that, he said, you go get blood drawn and we're going to look at the tumor makeup within your blood so that we can understand if you would be eligible for some of these clinical trials and things like that. So, I would call it a fantastic experience with Dr. Lim. He was compassionate. He had great care for me as a patient, for Jamie and the girls, and wanted to know our story there. And then, I was asking questions too. Said, so why you, Dr. Lim? I asked that. It's like, how do you differentiate yourself from all of the other doctors? And,
Fair question.
The thing I remember very vividly, we focus on research. Said we are driven by research, and that's what I want to spend my time on, and that's how we'll make a difference. So I remember that very vividly, and it really stuck with me. This is a good fit.
Yes.
So I would put it.
Oh my gosh, yes. And here's the thing a lot of people don't know, and now we know because of our unfortunate situations, but there isn't a lot of research being done in pancreatic cancer or GI cancers in general. Yep. Generally speaking, in the past, it had been a much older generation that was getting pancreatic cancer, and it's found very late. So researchers, going to school, they want something a little more exciting and a little more, they're just, a lot of people have not chosen to research pancreatic cancer. Yeah. Well, now, A, it's on the rise. B, it's affecting patients younger and younger. Dr. Lim's been studying this for years, but that's exactly right. He is dedicated to doing research, and he has a lot of really amazing research happening right now.
Yes.
So, and all of who have been following me, Kyle got a treatment that had never been in humans, that is now in humans, that worked. His, unfortunately, we got it into his body a little too late. He was too weak, too sick, had too much chemo, but it's now in other humans and it's working. And so that's why I continued to advocate and have continued to raise funds, because I don't want anything, I don't want what happened to us to happen to other people if I have anything to do with it. Yep. So,
thank you for that, Kira.
Yeah, of course. I mean, of course, right? Like Kyle is our sacrifice, but again, this is all a God thing, like how it all went down.
Absolutely.
All the it just, so I feel very passionate. It's definitely a purpose of mine. And so, now you guys are on board. We're doing this together, right?
Absolutely.
We're, okay, so you start FOLFIRINOX. How many rounds did you have here?
I did one round here. So this is another part of the story, if you want me to go there.
I do.
So we had 2 rounds in the Netherlands, and as I was mentioning, within a week of arriving back here and seeing Dr. Lim, I was on the 3rd round. So in that time, we finished the 3rd round. I believe it was on a Thursday. And I think the next Friday after that, so one day after I finished the 3rd round, Dr. Lim called and he said, hey, I have a possibility of a spot in a clinical trial. And so I was asking the questions, tell me more, what are the possibilities? What have you seen with it, or are other patients on it? And it took maybe 5-10 minute phone conversation. And I said, sure, let's do it. And so he went to work and was going to do all of the things on the back end to get me registered and all of those things. And so it was like, wow, this is amazing. We moved back, we had a round of chemo, and now we're going to have the opportunity to be in a clinical trial. This is amazing.
Which is successful at this point.
Absolutely.
And can you explain kind of what it is?
Yeah.
Your understanding of it?
Yeah. So the first criteria was the genetic makeup of my tumor, and that was a match. So that was, I'd said the very first time we met Dr. Lim, he wanted me to get more blood work done so that they could identify the specific genetic makeup of the tumor. And so we did that, and he said, because of that blood work, we see that you are a match to this new experimental phase 1 clinical trial. It will target the specific genetic makeup of your tumor. It helps to stop the DNA multiplication and so on. And I said, so does it address the tumor just in the pancreas or the liver? He said, everywhere, all over your body. So it's like, wow, this is amazing.
It's just one pill.
Yeah, just taking a daily dose through pills. It's like, well, that's kind of a no-brainer, you know. If I'm to evaluate it, it's like, why not? What do I have to lose? So because of the confidence that Dr. Lim had in this, because of the research that he was doing, it's like, yeah, let's do it. And so we thought, okay, this is great. We're going to, and I said, how quick will you want me to start? And he's like, well, in the next week or two. So, all right, great. So go through the weekend and just excited. And he said, well, somebody will be getting in touch with you on the Monday and set up the follow-up. Didn't hear anything. And then I think it was, I don't know why I remember so vividly, but it was about 5:15 in the evening on Monday. Get a call, Dr. Lim again. It's like, we just missed the enrollment period. Someone else got their name in 1 minute before you.
Because there was one spot. So somehow, 1 minute, literally 1 minute.
Yep. That's
your
what
information is. So I remember Jamie calling me to tell me you got into a study. Totally elated, like amazing. And then she calls me and says you missed it by a minute. And I'm like, what? This can't be.
Yeah.
So then I actually had a meeting with Dr. Lim and his whole team because they wanted to share with me what the money we've raised so far. So I initially committed to $3 million to Dr. Lim verbally that I wanted to help raise enough money to fund a phase 1 trial. So we've been raising money for a couple years now. Well, he wanted to share, he wanted me to meet all the doctors in his lab and share with me what they've done with the money.
Yeah.
So we have this hour-long meeting. It's all amazing. Kyle's treatments in 10 pancreatic cancer patients and 20 stomach cancer patients. They're looking at colorectal cancer patients. And then they also were sharing the information about this study. And all of it extremely promising. And but Jamie had just told me that you guys missed the window. So after our initial meeting, I looked at Dr. Lim and I'm like, and what about Ethan? And he's like, oh, I'm getting him in. I will get him in. And I'm like, okay. So I called Jamie after. I'm like, Jamie, I don't mean to get your hopes up, but this is what Dr. Lim said. So then what happens? You guys get a call.
So interesting. You know, you kind of go through the emotional roller coaster. We're in. It's fantastic. We're not. And at that point, it was disappointing, but I didn't lose hope, is what I would say. Is like, he's working on it. I know he is. And I had confidence, but said, for the moment, we're going to continue on the path of chemo. So the next round of chemo is due in another week or so. And so that morning we were going to drop our kids off so that they could go to school because we had to be at the hospital before the normal drop-off period. So we were on our way to drop the kids and my phone rang. And I answered it, and it's Dr. Lim again. He's like, are you at the hospital? And I was like, well, we're on our way. Don't go. It's like, oh, well, why? He's like, because I got you a spot in the trial. So it was, you go on this roller coaster.
I just got the chills.
But
yes.
but it was amazing. And so he said, if you can today, go down to the big barns, because we were taking chemo at the Barnes West.
Yeah.
And so he's like, we'll have you get some consents done and those kinds of things, but we're going to get you going on this. So it was amazing.
It was like the next day, right, Jamie? The next day after that meeting with Dr. Lim, when I looked at him and asked about you, he called and you got in.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So amazing. So now you've had when was that? I don't even know. I have zero concept of time.
That's about I would say it was a month, 5 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I've been, today is the conclusion of my 3rd week. So tomorrow would be technically the dosing of the 4th week of this new phase 1 clinical trial. And so far, it's going great from how I feel.
That's what I was going to say. How do you feel?
I feel, I would say, as close to normal as you could ask for. There's a few stomach things here and there, but
right.
That's better than what I was getting with the chemo side effects and things like that. So again, just a blessing to be able to have that opportunity, and really looking forward to seeing what in the end of the 6th week, we'll do scans and see how things are progressing and what that looks like. But for the moment, everything looks great, and just very, very fortunate to have this opportunity.
Amazing. So is it considered chemo? What do they call it?
I don't believe I've heard them refer to it as chemo. It's a targeted therapy for the tumor, and I don't know all the science behind it, so I probably say something that's incorrect. But essentially, it's targeting the DNA that is an offshoot of your tumor and stopping that multiplication so that your tumors either stop spreading or shrink and go backwards. So that's what the plan is, and we'll see how we're doing.
Amazing. So no hair loss, no chemo side effects. I mean, this is...
Yeah, and that's the part that's really cool about this is it's the future of care for pancreatic cancer and probably many others. I think they're evaluating this particular drug for multiple kinds of cancer, but specifically in my case, if I can help to build the data set that gets this drug into more people and gives this company that's developing it the necessary information to advance it, I mean, that's just fantastic. I couldn't be more happy for everybody that would come after me in this trial.
Yeah.
Let alone what it could do for me and our family.
Yeah, absolutely. And it says a lot about you too. I mean, this is a scary diagnosis, and trying something that's, very new, there are risks. We don't know.
Absolutely.
But, kudos to you and Jamie for making that decision. Yeah. Like, let's do it. Let's go all in. Let's, and it's just really, there are no words. It's crazy. You're like, do I really is this really our life?
Yeah.
But I'm just so happy you guys are in the study. I do have more questions. Okay, so do you know how many patients are in the study right now?
I don't. Okay. When we asked what their overall goal was, and this is internationally, I think, but specific to the U.S., they said roughly eventually they'll look to get 800 or so people enrolled, and they hope to keep 600-ish of those people in the study. But beyond that, I don't know the specific numbers.
Of how many people? Okay. Yeah. There's another question I was going to ask.
But it started, maybe I can go back, it started in June of last year, first in human.
Okay.
So I would say for across the country, my sense is a couple hundred people probably at this point.
And it's promising. The data is promising thus far. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, he said he's got a couple other patients on it that are showing great results. So
that's amazing, because I want to talk about the standard of care for FOLFIRINOX. Less than 36% of patients actually respond. Yep. The second-line treatment here is Gemzar Abraxane. Less than that respond to the second-line treatment. So there wasn't a lot of hope in pancreatic cancer, truly. 2 standards of care. And so these studies, it's so, so important. It's why I advocate and continue to use my voice and talk with people. It's so important to get these promising studies that are in labs into humans, and it does take money.
Yes.
And I will shout this from the rooftops. The government is the #1 funder of cancer research. We've all probably know this, and it's less than 1% of their budget. And then the NIH is the leg of the government that essentially issues that money, and less than 7% of their budget goes to cancer research. And so just to paint the picture, there's not a lot of money going towards cancer research, but more people are getting cancer. It's affecting people younger. We need to bind together to create more awareness and really, truly privately fund what we can.
Yeah.
And I always say it doesn't have to be one person, although if you have $1 billion and you're listening to this, please contact me. It doesn't have to be one person funding all this, but if we all band together and donate a little bit and even pick a cancer, maybe it's not pancreatic cancer, maybe it's a different type of cancer, but if we can all find some promising studies, a promising, researcher and help fund their labs, like that is how we move the needle forward.
Yep.
I wanted to ask about, what did I want to ask about? Something else. Hold on. It escaped me for a second. I went on a tangent.
No, I would maybe comment on the research side of it. It's fantastic to see the advocacy that you're doing. And to your point, I don't think it's very well known the tiny amount of funds that go towards cancer research out of the massive budget that we have across the U.S. And it's quite unfortunate, when we look at how it affects people and everyone in their lives that are impacted by cancer. You would think that would be a priority for our government and our tax dollars. So hopefully, one, the government can continue to find ways to fund that. But secondly, like you're saying, it's important that we, as a general population, rally around causes like fighting cancer and funding research for that. I don't see much greater cause, quite honestly, than helping people who are sick or ill. And that's a very noble thing.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing: 1 in 2 people will be affected personally by cancer in their lifetime. That is what they're saying. So, and long story, and then quick story, and then I want to talk about something else. But my girlfriend Joanna beat stage 3 colorectal cancer. She got treated at Siteman. She was amazing, total like you, active. Ate well and continued that throughout her treatment. She did have to have chemo, and long story short, we were at her cancer is gone, non-active. She's gone. Yeah, she's no evidence of disease now for I think 5 years. But at her final party, because she threw parties throughout her treatment. Okay, yes, she threw parties. Her final party, we were all sitting there, and Caleb, her husband, was speaking, and he said, we want to thank everybody for being a part of Joe's Army and everyone that's been there and rallied around us. And he's like, but we want you to know that we are going to be there for you guys because 1 in 2 people will be affected personally by cancer, Sure. And Kyle was sitting next to me, and I remember very vividly, the room we were in. It was at their old condo, looking around at the circle of people and thinking, I wonder who of them is going to get cancer next. Shortly after that was when Kyle was diagnosed. Yeah. Not once did I think it was going to be him. Never did it cross my mind. Someone else was going to get it, but not my husband.
Yep. You
just never know.
That's right.
So another God wink or God thing I want to talk about is you guys moving back. So you were renting your house out, your current home. You were renting out while you were in the Netherlands.
Yep.
So you guys move back and have to rent you have to rent a house, correct?
Yep.
So you find a house there, and then let's talk about the miracle of what happened as all that went down.
Yeah. So, we had our home in St. Louis still. We kept while we were in the Netherlands, as you pointed out. Had renters in there, and of course, there's certain provisions in the contract to vacate tenancy and things like that. So we gave the notice as soon as we made the decision that we were going to come back. It was a 3-month period. But by the grace of God, the people that were in there hurried along, and they were able to get out a little bit sooner than what that period was to allow us to get back into the home and start to settle and bring some normalcy to the girls and Jamie through this fight. So it's been a fantastic journey for us there. Very fortunate that came together as well.
And amazing, because who knows? They could have been like, we can't go anywhere. Yeah. We're here. We signed this contract.
Yep.
But they were able, it just, all these, again, I call them God winks. I'm like, this is absolutely your journey. Like, this is, miracles are happening and are going to continue to happen.
They do.
So for now, you're working, right? Still working out, still living life. And that's the plan, right? Yep. 1 foot in front of the other.
Yep. My mantra, like I said before, I'm going to fight this with all I have and a day at a time, You can't make if you spend your time worrying about it, it's probably it's not gonna do anybody any good, quite honestly. So we're gonna take it a day at a time, and we're gonna continue the fight, and we'll see what happens. But we've been extremely blessed through the journey so far, and say a lot of prayers, and he turned to the powers that be, and I think we'll get through it.
No question. And so Jamie, myself, and about 8 other women across the country, as you know, have bonded together, joined arms, and we are going to continue to raise money. We have a goal of $1 million. It'll be the third million of the 3 million promise that I gave to Dr. Lim, which Dr. Lim's like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. I'm like, but we do.
Yeah.
Because people are getting pancreatic cancer. I lost my husband to pancreatic cancer. A lot of those other women that are joining arms with us have lost their husbands or family members. So we did start a campaign to raise $1 million. You can go to my Facebook page and find it. We already have a $50,000 verbal commitment, a $10,000 verbal commitment, a $25,000 verbal commitment. So we have, and also, every dollar counts. You don't have to send, every dollar counts. The $50, the $5, the $100, all of it counts. And the cool thing about it is, as we raise this money, Dr. Lim is going to it goes right into Dr. Lim's account.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to put more pancreatic cancer patients on these promising treatments as the money comes in. And so I just want to thank all of you who have donated, who have prayed. It's making a difference. This is, case in point right here. It does affect, it really, really does affect people right away, this type of treatment. And so thank you to everyone who has donated over the years and will donate. We do ask that you share, comment, send your people, anybody that you know that has been affected by pancreatic cancer. We would love you to join arms with us to do that. So.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you to everyone who has contributed, and really thank you to you, Kira, for driving that cause.
Well, it's totally driven by God. It could not have, all the like I said, all the little God winks, it's nothing. He's just using me because I have a loud voice, I guess. I'm not sure. But it's, we are doing this. We are going to move mountains. We are moving mountains. And so, I'm really honored and humbled that you came on the podcast today. You guys are headed to the hospital after this, correct? Yep.
Yep. We leave here and go straight to the hospital for another doctor visit and to check on how things are going.
Will you tell Dr. Lim I said hi?
Will do.
Okay. And one final thing, you already kind of mentioned your mantra, but I always ask my guests to address the audience and let them know maybe one thing that you want them to take away from this podcast, or like you said, your mantra, something that you want to leave them with.
Yeah, I would say, again, my mantra was a day at a time. So how can you continue to make a difference? And I look at it as, what can I do every day in my life to help advocate, or to help give my daughters, my wife, a look at me. So I want to be a role model, and I think everybody can do the same. Whether you're talking about supporting someone who's going through the battle. That's been one thing that I've really been overwhelmed by, is once you start to share your story, others who have had a similar challenge come forward and they say, hey, if you want to talk about it, let me know. So that's one thing I would say. Continue to just be compassionate. That's one thing that I try and do more and more of, is show some compassion and have people to, if they've never experienced this kind of a situation, I'm happy to share my story. That's why a lot of people, when I shared it at work, they were like, you want to tell us all this? It's like, yeah, absolutely. It helps to bring awareness. So everything that we can do to share the story helps to build momentum towards finding that more permanent cure and treatment. So I want to be a role model for others that will come after me, and hopefully they have a better path forward because of the things that I've done, or that we do together. Certainly, you can't do anything by yourself. Don't think I'm saying that, but it's been a fantastic journey in that way, is to see the community rally around you and the cause, that we all have in common here. So that would be my ask of everyone is let's continue this fight together, and we can make a difference.
Absolutely. We are making a difference, and you are making a difference. Again, thank you for coming on to share your story, because there are people listening here who either are going what you're going through or are going to go through what you're going through, and having you use your voice to share your story and let people know, like, keep trying, keep asking, find another doctor, see who you know. And one final point I'll make is, donating to different charities. There's lots of different charities to donate. And I absolutely believe in, God gives us the money that we make in my mind. And so to give some back, I think in the Bible, it talks about tithing 10%. Everyone does their own thing. But the reason we're asking you to donate to this cause is because this goes right into a researcher that has promising studies as we speak. When you donate to other organizations, nothing against them, they're amazing, but a lot of times it goes into a big bucket, and they will distribute a little bit to this doctor, a little bit to this doctor, a little bit to this doctor. And so doctors spend a lot of time writing grant proposals to organizations to get money, and this money doesn't fully fund these studies. And so if you can find a researcher and you can send money directly to that researcher, that is how it moves quickly. And so that is why, I'm really vying for your contribution to pancreatic cancer to come right here to Siteman with Dr. Lim, because he is moving mountains. We are going to help him move mountains. So that's my spiel. So thank you again for coming on the show. I'm really, really so grateful, and look forward to having Jamie on next week.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes.
And again, thank you for all that you're doing, Kira.
Of course.
You are making a difference.
Well, thank you. And again, it's totally in Kyle's honor and legacy. He was an amazing human, and I want to do it for him and for you and for all the others that are going to get it, and also for our children, our children to have something, in honor of Kyle, and your kids can come along, with you. And so, it's just, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for all of you listening to this episode of the Yes We Can podcast. We'll be back next week, next Tuesday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, with Jamie Luth, Ethan's wife, and she will share her perspective from her side of things as a wife and caretaker of a pancreatic cancer patient. So thanks again. We'll see you next week.
What if you could start your day feeling loose, relaxed, and ready? Deep hydrotherapy right in your backyard. Relax with your family or friends, or work out with our Michael Phelps Edition Swim Spas. Worried about maintenance? We have factory-trained service nearby whenever you need it. Plus, we're here for you long-term if you have any questions or need to refill supplies. You can even test spas at our showrooms. Spas and More, A+ rated, locally owned for 20 years. We put the in spa.